it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. So come get some. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 9th and 10th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline Comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kilber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday night as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Wednesday Wham with the Silverline crew. I am your host, Martin Mertonen, and I colored a book called Wolf Hunter, and I'm working on Wolf Hunter 2. And below us, we have the Empress of Inks, Barb Kallenberg, the creator of Divinity, and the inker of comic books and more comic books, and...
True.
This is her book right here, Divinity, the wonderful on-the-road run story of the girl who has healing powers and some bad guys who capture her, and what goes on after that. So, yeah, this is a wonderful tale. It's done by Barb, and we got oh, go ahead, Barb.
Let me know if you're getting reverb on this, because I don't have my ear. I'm
have AirPods.
Yeah,
AirPods.
No,
yeah.
You're clear. You're clear. And up to my right, left. I don't know which way I'm looking because the cameras are flipped.
On the right-hand side of the screen.
There you go. On the right-hand side of the screen, we got the venerable Rob Davis.
Hey.
Who's been penciling and inking away, and he is working on his final page of a book called Boston Bombers. And he's also done Twilight Grim for Silverline, and he's also done working on the secret project that he and Barb are working on. And yeah, so when are we allowed to start talking about that secret project?
Probably when we get the first issue done.
And how soon is that going to be?
Well, I'm not quite halfway through penciling the first issue, so.
Okay. All right.
I'm up to page 10 or 11. Yeah.
So there's a ways to go.
All right. A little ways. It's a
awesome,
21, 22 pages. I think it's 21 pages.
Wonderful. Okay.
And it's going to be a 4-issue miniseries, I think.
All right. So Barb, our wonderful CFO, you are the CFO, right?
I am the CFO.
Yes. how are we doing with our book sales lately? What's been selling? What's cooking? What's going up the charts? What is taking off? Tell us how we are doing as a company.
Well, Diamond ordered a second printing of this, so that was great.
Of Kalis?
Yeah.
Reordered.
Ah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's good news.
It is.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Kalis. And will I drop my line today or will I not? I have to say it. Ladies and gentlemen, Kalis, the ultimate dad comic.
Ultimate dad.
So now
That's what he calls it.
now we heard some terrible news in the comic world, and that is Iron Man, the Invincible Iron Man got canceled, and apparently that's the only book that Barb has been collecting.
Well, yeah, I was just looking it up, and it looks like the writer who's on it right now is ending his run on the book. So
Right.
I think Barb's prediction that it's probably going to come back in a few months with a new run is probably what's happening.
It has to.
Yeah, Iron Man's too big a character for them
You
to be in forever.
So folks, if you need something to replace Iron Man, this is your book right here, Kalis. So I'm telling you,
all of the Silverline books that I read, I only had one book on my pull list, and that was Iron Man. Now, this is my theory anyway. They say they're canceling it, but it came at the end of this writer's run.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing months down the road they're going to reboot it somehow in some different manner or some gimmick.
Yeah. So
that'd be my guess.
So just so people know, in the world of big comics copyright stuff, the companies, when they have characters, they need to keep producing books with those characters within a span of a certain amount of time in order to maintain the copyright on that character.
Actually, not the copyright, the trademark.
Trademark. Right. So trademark.
Yeah, which is a different
trademark. So if they're the trademark, they have to produce a book every certain amount of years or every couple. I think
they
every couple years.
They have to protect their trademark.
They have to protect the trademark
continuously
on it.
publishing it. Or have other ways which are even more onerous. So the
likelihood of Iron Man disappearing for good is very slim to none. So yeah, he will probably be back.
It was Iron Man that launched the MCU, and they're going to cancel his comic. I am offended.
What they need to do is bring in Robert Downey Jr. to write a few issues. That would boost the sales.
Yeah,
it's been done. Yeah.
I wonder if they just kind of like sort of lost the plot at some point, and people just like didn't know what is going on. What is this? Nothing's connecting with me, so they're just like, all right, let's pull the plug and start again. To
my mind, the whole comics that Marvel and DC are both just they're keep regurgitating the same stuff over and over and over again.
Go ahead, Barb.
One of the things that annoys me is that they've run out of big stories to tell, so they're telling more and more outrageous stories to outdo the last one, and you cannot keep that pace.
No, that doesn't. You can't keep doing that forever. No.
Right. No. So yeah, but I mean, they kind of started that in the 80s. It's just the momentum kept going. So now the thing that's really interesting is that they've tried to reboot. Well, DC has tried to reboot 3 times in like the last 20 years, and each time they did that, it seemed to just disconnect them from the audience even further.
Well,
I'm not slagging on them. I'm just saying that even though they tried to incorporate new ideas, the new ideas didn't kick or didn't stick for some reason.
The big danger in doing that is that when they say we're wrapping up this book and then we're going to relaunch a whole everything from scratch, that's when a lot of the older readers like, well, I'm jumping ship then.
I'm done. Yep.
So every time they relaunch, I think they lose a part of their audience. So their audience gets smaller and smaller and smaller at every relaunch because a lot of people just give up. Say, well, I don't know.
I'm done. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and we've had this discussion before, and I think it goes down to the root of what the idea of that character is to begin with. Like, what is Superman? What is Batman? What is the root of that character right from the get-go, from the beginning? You have to maintain that because that's what everybody knows, right? And then if you want to do a variation on that, great, but make a new character and start with a new audience. The other problem is that a lot of these characters start, like the basis of them, a lot of them started with a kid, and then you grew up with that character from that point, and then they didn't, like in Japan, they always start a new series for the age bracket, and then the kids grow up with the series, and that
kind of like Harry Potter.
It ages with them. It ages with them, but then they start a new series of something else, and then they, and
do the
then
same thing. Yeah.
Do the same thing again, and for some reason North America hasn't quite figured that out. We don't keep feeding the kid market.
Do we have any comments yet?
Do we have any what? Comments. Let's see. Do we have any comments? Oh, hello. Oh, hey, who's there? Hi, guys. We got Comics Madness Network. Hey, Pops. Welcome. Hey, Diggs, BT1.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up? Hey, how's it going? Tonight we're just shooting the breeze, guys. We're just winging it. It's Comics Hullabaloo. So if you have questions or comments or anything,
send them on.
I am transmitting from the wilds of Iowa.
Hey, Grey Wolf, hail chat. All right.
So if Barb drops out, it's because she's only got, 2 bars? Did you say?
Okay.
1 and 2 bars out in the boonies.
And then
I'm sitting in my childhood bedroom here in
wow.
On a farm in Iowa.
So Mitographia says for trademark of the comic title, you need at least 2 issues printed to start functioning the trademark.
Yep.
So right, and then you probably have a certain window. If you stop printing, you probably have a certain window of time that you have to get back into printing.
I'm not as familiar with trademark as I am copyright, but it's something like that.
Yeah. So
a subject I'll throw out there that I read something earlier today. There was a question: if Marvel and DC collapsed tomorrow, would there still be a comics industry?
Yes.
I think so.
Would there be? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Would it be? I think some comic shops would go under, though. I think a few more would go under because a lot of them are very dependent on books coming from DC and Marvel. So, but that was a question I saw, and it's something to think about. What would happen if they departed the publishing world?
Mm-hmm. I did a show this past weekend, and I had several people tell me that they no longer are interested in DC and Marvel because they've run everything into the ground, and so they are turning to independent comics.
Yeah, so there's a lot of interesting books out there that are being a lot more inventive, and there you go. And doing things that, exciting things that Marvel and DC used to do and seem to be going in circles a lot lately, and like they're circling the drain.
So I am going to apologize, folks. I am going to be shilling our books all night long, just so you know. Because hey, we're a comics company and we make comics, and you guys need to know what we produce. So that So now, like, if you guys want a Batman alternative, Cape Town might be something to look into. So that's a interesting book.
From one of our pals, Brent. Brent.
And he also did Kalis as well.
Right. Yeah. Which, as we noted earlier, got some reorders from from previews. So cool.
Yeah. So okay, we brought up trademark and copyright. So I guess we can. I'll dabble into that because I've done a lot of research into this topic of copyright. Rob, you could probably correct me. In Canada, I don't know about the United States, but in Canada, the second you produce something anywhere, any place, anytime, and you put it on a piece of paper and you write it, you have a copyright automatically. You don't need to register it. You don't need to do anything.
That's true in most places in the world.
So you have automatic copyright. It's yours. Now, to prove it's yours, that's a little more difficult, but you have the copyright of whatever it is you produced, a song,
you can register it with the Library of Congress, with the United States government, and I'm sure that's true in Canada as well. There's a place to do that. So you don't have to.
Yes.
But there are other methods that you can use. One of the least expensive is make a copy of whatever you've created and send it to yourself, registered mail, in a sealed envelope. And don't open it unless you have to go to court. That's one way to protect yourself, because the U.S. government has then stamped it with a date and a time as to when it was sent. So you've got proof positive with the government behind it that you created it on this date. That's one way to do it. Another way is you pay the fee and you get it copyrighted. You get it registered with the Copyright Office in Washington, D.C. And it costs a little bit of money, as it should. But that's another way to do it. No matter how you do it, you're going to have to spend a little money if you want to. But you don't absolutely have to do it. But if anybody tries to steal what you've created, then you're in a world of hurt if you haven't protected yourself somehow.
That brings up an interesting question, a conundrum for me, is that I have a character coming up in the issue number 5. Issue number 4 of Divinity should be kickstarting next month. I have a character showing up in issue number 5 that is scarily similar to a character in the TV show, but I wrote the character a long time before this TV show came on, and I know I'm going to hear, plagiarism. No.
Well, in a case like that, do you have anybody else who knows when you wrote it? There's someone you could call and say, can you come to court and witness the fact that I actually created this earlier? If you've got 2 or 3 people like that, you're probably okay. It's a little harder to prove, but It
was in outlines that I submitted to, R.A. and Roland and Tom Mason months and months ago before this TV show even came.
So there you go. You've got some sort of proof. It's a little more difficult than if you have paperwork.
Yeah,
but if you can get people to come in and witness it, you're okay.
But the other thing is also, though, copyright also kind of covers different spaces for different things. So if your character is copyrighted for you and it's in the space of comics, and the other character, which is eerily similar but is in the space of TV, and they have different names and there's different things going on, and there's variations, then because you're in a different space, the copyright or your maintaining of that character is somewhat protected.
I'll do a disclaimer here. Remember, we're not lawyers. This is our opinion here, an educated opinion. But if you really have a question about copyright, find a lawyer or a book or something else and delve into it, But if you need copyright protection after you've created something and you haven't gone through all the correct hoops, you want to talk to a copyright lawyer and make sure they know copyright, because not every lawyer does.
All right, Mitographia says, I work for Marvel and DC, now working on my own stuff.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Me too.
Me too.
Is the time is published? I'm not sure what that means. Can you expand on that one? So, and Mitographia, what did you do for Marvel and DC?
Yeah, that's a good question.
If you would be so kind to let us know, that'd be wonderful. Yeah. All right. So, what have we touched on? We've touched on copyright. We touched on trademark.
Yeah, a little bit of trademark. Yep.
Iron Man is not available. So Kalis is. Go get Kalis. Yeah. So Barb, you were telling us that you had attended a convention or some sort of
show. Yes,
comic show.
I did a 2-day show in Davenport this past weekend, Davenport, Iowa, and then we've been staying with my dad here on the farm. He's 87 years old, still on the farm. He's never gone to any one of my shows. So he asked me, he goes, what happens at these shows? What are they all about? I said, well, it's a comics and toys show. So you have comics and you have prints. He goes, what's a print? I'm like, oh, Dad. And I said, they sell toys like memorabilia. He goes, I've got this antique toy tractor upstairs I had when I was not quite what I'm talking about, Dad. I'm talking about like Funko Pops. He goes, what's a Funko?
Yeah, well.
And I said, some people dress up like in fancy clothes. I mean, all right.
Costumes.
I'm gonna take some photos tomorrow. Okay. So I took a bunch of photos of various booths and what they sold, and some cosplay players. I took photos of them and brought them home, and I showed him. He goes, "You're weird."
How did I know he was going to say that? Well, yeah, and
then he was, they're weird. I says, those are my customers, Dad. So that makes me weird too.
So did he go to the show?
No, he wouldn't. Drive.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like his thing.
It doesn't sound like it. He was like, oh, I have a toy tractor upstairs, and it's an antique, and it's not the kind of collectibles.
Well, there are shows for that kind of stuff too, but
you never know if you brought that tractor and you stuck it out. I bet you somebody would know what it is and go, okay, I want that.
Well, it is old. He was born in 1936, and this is one of the toys he played with when he was little. He's got several of them.
Wow, 36. So he's pushing 90.
He's 87.
87.
Yep.
Wow.
Still puttering around.
All right, Rob, why don't you show us what's going on your... so how did you do in the show? How did the show go? What did you end up selling? What did you end up... Did people pick up Divinity?
Not one of my better shows financially, but I made a profit, so there's that. But
anytime you make a profit's a good thing.
Yeah. Every show is different. You can do the same. I do the same show with the same group of people several times a year, and no two shows are the same.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
It's bizarre because at one show I'll sell like tons of comics and maybe a print or two and no original art. And then the next show I'll sell a whole bunch of prints, hardly any comics, and one piece of original art. And another show I'll sell a lot of original art and nothing. It's just, they're weird. It just
and days are different too. If it's a 2-day show, one day can be completely different from the other. You'll sell one sort of thing on one day, and the next day you'll do something completely different. They're totally unpredictable.
It's a crapshoot.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Have you done any shows, Martin?
No, I have not. I've attended a couple where I met a couple of artists. Who did I meet? I think I met Yannick Paquette, and I met what's his name? Finnish guy.
Don't ask me. I'm almost 100% American. American comics.
Tim. Okay. I can't remember his name. He did.
Brain cramp.
Yeah.
Tim Sale?
No. I think his name is Timothy.
Timothy Truman.
He's Finnish.
No.
He's Finnish. That's all I can remember.
Okay.
But he did. So, okay. So there was a book of a whole bunch of Marvel castaway characters, like throwaway characters, complete throwaway characters. Yeah. And he took them all on and did a series with them. And it was an absolute riot. Like, it was like, they said, like, we got nothing to lose, so we're just gonna throw these guys
League
out
of
there
Misfit Heroes, huh?
Do like a complete nonsensical book, and it was hilarious. It was just absolutely hilarious. Wonderful book.
I seem to remember hearing about that. Yeah.
And I think they were fighting Fin Fang Foom for the first 3 or 4 issues.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
I saw the cover for that.
This would have been like in the 2000, 2008, 2006, 2000, somewhere in there is when he did that. Kenneth Rocafort. We have Kenneth Rocafort on our show tonight, guys. Good night. Mitographia is Kenneth Rocafort. He is a absolutely brilliant artist. Yes, you are brilliant, sir. So, welcome to the show. Thank you. We are graced with your presence. This is crazy. So he has done art on Red Hood and the Outlaws, Superman, Teen Titan, Action Comic, Detective Comics, Astonishing Tales, Inhumans, the X-Men, and the Ultimates, and probably a whole bunch of other stuff too. So yeah.
Very good.
So
good.
I am pretty sure I have a couple of your books, or had a couple of your books back in the day. So yeah.
You want to be a guest one time?
We
Welcome to come on. We can talk about your career. Absolutely.
Yeah. He says we have a great show. All right.
We think so, but
we are winging it completely tonight. So, but thank you so much. Hello, the Time Scales. Greetings from Vancouver, Canada. Hey, at the Time Scales. That's Pop saying hi to Time Scales. Yeah. Okay. And I'm over here in Ontario, good sir. So greetings. I'm sure we know each other. We just have 5 days.
All Canadians know each other, right?
Yeah, we just have 5 days of travel between the two.
Like all Midwesterners, like Barb and I know each other. Sure.
Yeah.
You were talking about secondary characters. I did something like that back in the 90s when DC put out a book called Primal Force. And it was.
I remember that book.
Yeah, I did all these issues, and they took a bunch of secondary characters: Red Tornado, Jack-o'-lantern, the Claw, Golem, and they only created one new character. They created a female character called Meridian. She could move along ley lines, and we were doing the character sketches in New York. They flew us out to New York, to DC, to go through it. And they said, we need a character sketch for Meridian. And the penciler was sitting across the table from me, and he's like, here you go. And it was me. So, I the model for Meridian. Yes. So that was a fun series, and it went for like 13, 14 issues before it got canceled. But I met a lot of fantastic artists on that. And in fact, that's the first time I ever inked Cat West. Was on that series, and it was such a cool idea. I think that they should do that more often. Take your throwaway characters and your secondary, your B, C, D list characters,
Yeah.
and throw them together and see if they throw it at the wall and see if it'll stick.
It's certainly just as valid as doing the same A-lister over and over and over again,
Well, yeah.
telling essentially just kind of retelling the same stories with a slightly different twist.
Read some more
Yeah.
of those secondary characters that you've had around forever. Let's see if we can make
Yeah.
them interesting.
Yeah,
Bring it
definitely.
to
And a good writer should be able to, you would
You
think,
bet.
you know?
You bet. But that doesn't seem like people want to do that.
Mm-hmm. All right, I just looked up Ken's stuff, Mr. Rockefort stuff, and yes, this is exactly who I thought it was. And he's even done a black and white variant cover for Art TheBaron. Nice, very cool. All right, Art TheBaron is I think he's Roland knows him. I've met him once at the Calgary Comic Con at the comic
I met him
shop
years ago, and I was still doing big
Yep.
name con. I haven't done a big name con in a while.
Yeah.
They've been crazy.
You should come down. You should try and get space at Planet Comic Con in Kansas City.
Okay.
I think you do okay. I mean, it's you might be able to wrangle a free table out of Chris Jackson, who runs it, but I've been doing it all. It's like 25 years old now, and I had to pay for a table. He gave me free tables for a long time, but I've worn out my welcome in that particular respect. I have to pay now.
I up on San Diego about 2017. It was just like, this is so far beyond where we started. I don't even recognize this show anymore. And I used to go every single year for a decade or more.
You would. It would. Planet Comic Con's a lot like the old Comic Con out in San Diego. It's pretty big. It takes up a whole floor of a convention center, and it's a big convention center. So yeah, it's on that order.
I do New York well, and Emerald
Con, yeah, Emerald City Con or whatever it's called, yeah.
The only one really big one I've never done is Earls Con. I'd like to do someday. So,
have you been to Dragon Con?
I have not. That's more science fiction based, but I'm totally all over that.
Yeah, the comic book stuff is there. They do some cosplay, and they do. It's not. It's more science fiction than it is comics and genre stuff. So you could get by with it, but yeah, I have never been either. And from what I heard, it's gotten so big that it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So unless you've been going a long time, it's and have kind of an in, it's just too big, just too big.
Yes. And see, that's
Planet Comic Con's close to that, but
I like sticking to the local shows, and I by local I mean Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota. You know, stuff that's within an easy driving distance for us.
Right. Yeah.
And I like to do smaller shows because then I'm the big fish in a small pond. We're not those huge shows. You know, I'm the minnow now. I mean, you know, I used to do a lot of the 90s, but then you know nobody really knows who I am anymore unless you're of a certain age.
Yeah, you were on a lot of books back, especially at DC back in the 90s, and you had garnered quite a name, especially here in the Midwest. So yeah, so you were up there.
I was doing 2 or 3 books a month, you know, for DC, Marvel, and whoever else. At one point, I did 5 books one month, 5 different companies, 5 different.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish I could have done that as a penciler, but you can't do that.
Well, who is it?
Sleep.
You got to sleep sometime.
Yeah. Well, John Romita Jr. was able to do 2. He was doing 3 books at one point, but then he said he was getting burnt out, so he dialed it back. But yeah,
can you imagine being Kirby doing, you know, almost? It seemed like a book a day. You know, that's maybe 10 pages a day. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Who's the fastest penciler you have ever seen? Who's the legendary?
I have no idea.
the historian there, Rob.
The
Who was the
fastest I've ever seen.
Well, or heard of.
Well, the fastest I've heard of is Jack Kirby, and it's incredible. The story I heard about how he did a page was he would have a blank sheet of paper, and he'd mark out the area he was going to draw, and he'd start in the upper left-hand corner and work his way across the page and down to the right-hand corner. No thumbnails, and when he was writing his own stuff, no script. It was all in here.
Oh, Jesus.
And he would do that, and just incredible. And he was doing, toward the end of his career, I think when he was doing regular stuff, I think he was able to do 3 and 4 pages a day, pencil, which is just incredible. But at the height, he was cranking them out almost 10 a day. So, wow. But those, very little background work on those. And he was just, that's seat of the pants drawing. You're not even thinking much about it. You're just throwing it on the page.
So Mark, Mark Evanier?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had dinner with him out in San Diego one year. Yeah.
Well, there you go. So you guys know who Mark Evanier is. Awesome.
Yeah.
So
he's a great guy.
He relayed the story. So he did. I think he's done a bunch of writing for Garfield and a bunch of other.
He was a voice producer or voice director for the Garfield cartoons.
Yeah. So I think some of the relaying of the legend of Jack Kirby comes from him, because he said one day he'd be walking by Jack Kirby and he has a blank page in front of him. Jack Kirby would sit in front of the page and just sit and stare at it for like an hour, and then he's like, "You got to get the page. You got to start drawing the page." And then as he's walking by, he goes to the bathroom. When he comes back from the bathroom, the page was done.
Oh my God.
At least that's how he relayed the story, right?
Yeah,
so,
and that's why I'm saying. Yeah, so
he would sit there and think about it, think about it, and once he had it ready, then bam, he would go and put it on the page. So now,
and very little reference. I mean, I can show you the.
So this is where
I got a ton of reference here.
So this is where
the book I'm doing. He had nothing.
Yeah.
Just all in here.
This is where the Yannick Paquette meeting him at the Ottawa Comic Con before it actually became an actual real Comic Con. So I met him and I was watching him drawing and I was trying to figure out what he was doing because he wasn't laying down any underdrawing. He just went for it. I was like, "Whoa, hang on a second.
Yeah.
What
I've seen artists do that. I can't do that. I have to have that underlined.
And so I can't remember what he told me, but he told me it was some sort of a technique that he was picking up from Jack Kirby or from the legends. That there was something that they were doing mentally that they were doing so that they could think about something and then execute it instantly. Now, intriguingly, doing this approach, you end up having some weird distortions in your figure work.
Yes.
And so if you actually look at Kirby's stuff, that's how you're like, oh, you got these distortions that are happening in it. Like, oh, now I know why those distortions exist.
Yeah.
Because of the way he was producing. So there's something. So
Carmine never had anything that was in actual legitimate angles and dimensions and stuff. But it looked okay. It looked fine.
Well, and I think Inkers kind of corrected him a little bit too. But yeah.
Oh my God. I inked him. And I was in tears because I was like, none of this makes sense. The angles aren't right and everything, but it looks fine on when you just eyeball it on the page, right? So I called John Nussberg, who was my mentor at the time. And he had inked Carmine many times. I'm like, what do I do? I can't erase everything and redo it. I'll never make my deadline. He goes, just ink what's there. You cannot fix everything.
So that's the same thing with Dean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dean Zachary says the same thing. Ink what's there, right? Like,
oh, well, yeah.
I've tried to ink his stuff, and I was like, what am I even looking at? Like, when you look at his pencils from afar off, you're like, okay, cool, I can see what he's doing. But then when you go to ink it, you're like, I don't know what this is. What is it? Like, and then somebody just says, ink what's there, and you're like, oh,
just ink
okay.
what's there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one reason I ink him over and over and over again, because I can do Dean speak.
Well, you read. Yeah, he used to be on this as a regular.
Yeah.
And he would talk about how he would leave kind of gray shading in his pencil drawings, and Barb would render that as either cross hatching or whatever. But it always looked like his pencils when she was done. She knew how to interpret his work because she worked with him so many times. So yeah.
So Rob, what do you got on your table there? You want to show off a little bit?
I got the last couple of pages of Boston Bombers here, and this is there's not much heroics or action going on in this, but we got a scene in a park. And they're sitting on a park bench talking, and you know it's talking. Well, half the book is talking heads, and you know here's more talking heads, and this is the climax of this issue. At the bottom right hand side, it'll say to be continued. So you know there's some sort of revelation there, and she's surprised by it at the end. So that's what I've been working on.
All right.
Now that I've got that done, I'm I'm trying to solidify my ideas for the cover. So I'm was doing a sketch here of what I had in mind. I don't think what I was doing is gonna work. I'm gonna have to play with it some more, come up with something a little more grab you.
What do you do when you come up with a mental block on your art? How do you get around it?
I go draw something else. If I have a blank sheet of paper in front of me and I don't know what to draw, if you've got a script, you've got something to work from. But if I can't quite get it, I just start scribbling. I just move the pencil around on the page, start scribbling, start doing doodles until then you get those brain cells firing, and then eventually something will come. But I've never not been able to get something going. If I can't get something going, I get up, walk away, and come back. I go down and use the bathroom. I go have a snack, come back and look at it again, and go, oh, okay. Sometimes it's just getting away from the drawing table and just wiping your head clean, because you got a little voice. I've always talked about this. You've got two little voices. You remember the old cartoons where you had the devil and the angel on your shoulder talking to you, and one of them's telling you this thing, and the other one's telling you another. And sometimes those voices are too active, and you can't listen. You either shouldn't listen to the one, and you should listen to the other, but you can't hear them. So sometimes just walking away and letting the voices be silent for a little while, then you can come back and start listening to the correct one, and it just happens. If you do it long enough, you figure out little tricks to get things moving. And one of them is just to move your pencil till something comes to you.
Something similar like that in inking is that I've had people who have seen pages that I've done that are like super, super detailed, like John Stadema or Ethan Van Sciver, or a few others that I can think of that are incredibly detailed pages, are overwhelming. And they say, wouldn't even know where to start on a page like that.
Yeah.
I said, you have to just start at a little 1-inch square, and you start that in the corner, and then you just slowly block out all the rest of the page. Don't worry about the rest of the page. Set yourself a goal of this little space and ink that. And then once that's done, then set your next goal, the little space. But, if you look at the overall page, you just freeze, because it's just completely
It can be overwhelming if you're going. There's too many details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
A little bit,
that said,
inch by inch, anything's a cinch.
Or new friend, old friend, Mitographia here. Kenneth Rockefeller. He's very detailed. He's also working on a new book called Groken 3. So if anyone wants to go look that up, I just looked it up. It looks pretty cool. It's up on Indiegogo.
Cool.
I believe. Yeah. So I believe you also did. He also did some image work back in the day. I'm pretty sure of it. So, anyways, yeah. All right. Now we have a new fellow who's been joining us, Keisisi. He's a writer, and he's been creating some books of his own. Do we want to take a look at some of what he's been doing?
Yeah, we started to talk about that last time, and it'd be great to see some more of that. I went over to the website, but I had too much going on. I didn't have time to really delve into it or even download anything. So
let's see if I get the right. There we go. All right. So I'm just gonna make sure I get this up and running here. Hey, there we go. So he's written a whole bunch of whackload of books. He seems to have 1 or 2 issues of these books going. Some of these seem to be ideas that he started. He's just getting his ideas out there. So this is on globalcomics.com. So if anybody ever wants to go check it out, they can.
I have to plug in my phone.
Yeah.
I'm going to die.
Global Comics, globalcomics.com.
Okay.
So this is his book Arcadia Key. Let me just get rid of the.
Yeah, that's better lighting behind you too, Barb.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever you had earlier was backlighting.
But you can actually see my face now, so that's bad.
Yeah, I actually have a light that I shine on me so you can see this ugly mug. But yeah. Oh yeah.
So
he's got some great art. He's got some nice art going here.
Yeah, so he's the writer, and he's hired artists and stuff to put out his books.
Nice.
And he's decided to get he's done the lettering himself, from what I can understand.
Okay.
So the stories seem to all revolve around Detroit, Michigan, and he has a variety of characters that he's been working on. So yeah, this is one of his books.
Yeah, nice coloring, nice pencils and inks. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's professional level stuff, definitely. Yeah.
All right. So let's see now if I can. What happens? So that's one book. And then he has. Let's see. He has another one. This one looks like a very interesting book called Reapers. I don't know if this guy has a staff, but I think these characters are supposed to be something to do with. Oh, there we go. So here you got like the scythe. So these are like variations on
Reapers of Death.
Yes. So they're like death reapers, and so has a very interesting premise. And he apparently gets attacked by this invisible guy. I don't know if this invisible guy's a reaper or something. The father character gets attacked, and then
or a ghost or something.
And then he dies, and then this reaper guy shows up. I don't like. There's some interesting stuff going on here. Like what? So, anyways, this is that looks like a very interesting idea that he is going. I don't know what Oathbreaker is. I have no idea, but he's created this as well. Let's see if we can. This book for some reason has trouble getting pages. I don't know why. Maybe there aren't any pages. Maybe it's just the cover.
It says 1 of 11. It says 1 of 11.
Yeah, but the pages don't. I don't know.
Yeah,
I wanted
okay.
to see what this one looked like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that logo's a little dark. He needs to lighten up that logo.
yeah,
That one there, it kind of blends
Yeah.
in with the background. It
Yeah,
needs
the
to pop
background-
more.
background might need to be either made darker or needs to be made
Or
lighter.
lighter. Yeah, something. It needs to be. It needs to be different from the logo. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have this bunker.
Yeah, there's
Born.
one that bunker born that pops. So yeah.
Yeah. So this is again Detroit, Michigan, and apparently there's couple factions running around, and they need to do. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing, but they are. This is a training sequence, and then this training sequence is something that they need to do in the real world. So, yeah, so he's created essentially a universe for himself.
Cool.
So yeah, and I guess because of this, we at Silverline have picked him up as a writer, and he's writing books for us. Do we know what books?
He's also editing Divinity.
And he's also editing Divinity. Well, and what book is he writing for us, or is he writing more than one?
I actually don't know.
Okay.
Life's been busy.
So, and yet another book, The Medjai's Son. I don't know what Medjai is, but is that like a Magi? The Medjai?
Medjai. Huh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
it
got
seems to have some sort of
yeah,
historical.
Egyptian. That's an Egyptian looking character. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we got some sort of like pseudo samurai thing going on. Yeah, so it's very interesting.
Yeah, looks like he's brimming with ideas. That's great.
Yeah,
and trying to do something with them. That's and that's a good point to make with anybody who's aspiring to do this. Do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and throw it out there. As Cassisi said last time, he says he doesn't know if his ideas are good or bad or whatever.
Yeah.
But, put them out there, and you get your bad you get the bad ideas out of your system, and you start if you're paying attention to what you're doing. You'll eventually go, okay, well, that wasn't so good. Let me see if I can improve it. And eventually you get better. And you weed out the stuff that's not working. So, yeah, but just put it out there. Start like our friend Vic is out there doing his thing. He's drawing all the time, and every time we see something new from him, it's better. So that's what you got to do. You got to exercise the muscle so it gets better.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Mitographia. I did a lot of work on image and nice spaceships. Saying Cassisi's comics have nice spaceships.
They do.
So, yeah, nice spaceship designs in Cassisi's books. Now, Cassisi's hired an artist or artists. I'm not sure if he has hired multiple artists or not. I didn't really look. All this stuff kind of looks the same. So it seems like he's using the same artist for everything.
Yeah, it might be a friend or somebody he's run into it somewhere along the way.
He said he's paying them, so yeah. So
and that's what you got to do if you want to try and self-publish.
Yeah. So I'm gonna hawk a book. That I wrote. Just if I can find it. I hope I can find it. Because just to talk about if you have a dream or whatever, or a vision, produce it. Let's see.
Yeah, that's one thing that I use my proceeds from the shows that I do to pay my talent.
Yeah.
Because I pay my Divinity penciler up front. And because I've been there. These young struggling artists, I usually try to find new talent, that doesn't have a lot of chance where they live and stuff like that. And I've been that young talent, and getting paid on the back, paid on the back end just doesn't work for them, And so I always pay my talent up front, and then when I sell the book, then I keep the profits. So
right. Right. So I worked with a gentleman from. He was in California. I think he started in Florida, and then he went over to California. So he went from coast to coast. Luis Serrano, and I did all the layout and design work. I did not design the logo, but all the layout and interiors. I did the layouts for, and I did the lettering on this, which is the classic Bible, Samson the Nazarite.
Nazarite. Okay. Oh, yeah. So, I think you showed this to us before.
Yes, I've shown this, and it's so he ended up going through, I think, 2 or 3 different artists, but each one was similar enough in scope that you didn't lose track of what was going on between each book, and it's a fun romp. I mean, like, you know, you got him, you know, killing people with jawbones of donkeys and stuff, and you know, he gets powered up and all this kind of stuff. So, anyways, but the reason why I brought that up was just because Casey's getting out there and he's hammering his stuff out, and he has a dream and a vision of what he wants to do, and so he stepped up to the plate and he's getting it done. So Luis Serrano, he had a dream. He wanted this book done, and he wanted it to, and he ended up producing it. And you can now get like all the books combined as an entire graphic novel, and it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, it's a big book, and it's an amazing book. And it just, so it took a while to produce.
Yeah.
But you collect your pennies, and you decide to say, okay, I'm going to find these artists and I'm going to find these people, and let's put the book together.
Well, and it's easier. In some ways, it's easier now to do that than it was back.
Yeah,
when I was much
Oh,
younger.
100%. Well, once computers came into play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then print on demand.
With print on demand and short run printers now, it's easier than ever.
Much easier. You didn't have to fill your garage with the printings of your comic book as you used to have to do, because a minimum print run for comics back in the day was thousands.
Yeah, it was
thousands. So
it was. I think it was in. I think the minimum print run was a 10,000 run.
Something like that. Yeah,
it was crazy. It was crazy.
Can you imagine where do you put that? You know, if you don't have a warehouse, where are you going to put it? You're going to pick a room in your house to put 10,000 comics in?
5,000 or 10,000. Yeah. So when
it was even just 5 is still a lot of comics. So
I'm sorry, we're going to have to bunk together in one room because we need this bedroom
for all their comics. Yeah. And if you're not a known entity, and you don't have like a you know, people buying your book, you're going to be sitting on paper for, like, you know, years on end, unless you can figure out.
If it doesn't sell, you got plenty of toilet paper.
Yeah, or fire starter anyway.
There you go.
So, but yeah, I remember back in the day, I contacted who did I contact? I contacted the major printer in Montreal, who's printing everybody's books. I don't remember what their name was off the top of my head.
Yeah, I remember. I
contacted them and asked them to, you know, give me a quote for stuff. And I was like, it was crazy. Like, oh yeah, we need to have a minimum print run of this, and it'll cost. But the thing was, you had to get the book down to a certain dollar or certain cost amount. You wanted it down to like 40 cents a book or something, or 30 cents a book, so that you could turn around and sell it and make your profit. So the way you would look at it is, okay, well, if I put it out for 40 cents a book at 5,000, then I turn around and I only have to sell like 300 or 400 books at $5 a piece to make my money back.
Yeah.
To break even or whatever it was. Then you would try to figure out, okay, how can I make a profit on some of the extras, and then you just pulp the rest. That would be the way to look at it.
Now, print on demand is not cheap.
No.
Unfortunately, and
Yeah.
shipping has gone way up, and
shipping is insane.
Yeah, shipping's really eating into
Oh.
profits. I've done a little bit of comics publishing of other people's work, which I don't do anymore.
Yeah.
Because you can't make any money at it as a small publisher unless you've got more time and energy to expend on that than I do. You have to be able to promote the crap out of your book in order to get it out there and get it seen.
Yeah.
I just want copies so that I can take to a show and sell at my table. And I can do that. I've got enough books that, and I can order enough at one time. I've got so many of this book, so many of that, so many of that. And to make it cost effective, you have to order at least 20 books. 25 to make it worthwhile. And I just take a small box, comics box, a short box, full of comics with me to shows. And when it gets down to a certain level, I'll go, okay, I'll order so many of this, so many of that, so many of this.
That's what I do too.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it anymore. If you're printing your own stuff, but if you're trying to be a small publisher, you got a lot of work on your hands because there's so much stuff out there. How do you get eyeballs? How do you get clicks on social media? You got to figure out ways to get people to look at what you're doing, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
If you can't afford to hire somebody to do that for you, you've got to do that and do whatever you're doing on your book as well. That's a lot of work. Yeah.
Pretty much find any space in every space where you can stick it.
Exactly.
And direct people to the place where you can buy it. Say, okay, go here, go here, go here. Here's how you can buy it. Buy it here. Press the button to buy it. Yeah.
And then sometimes you have to pack and ship it yourself too. So
that's
you've got that to do as well.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work. Now if you're driven, you'll do it. You'll figure out how to do it. But it's easier, but it's easier to do as far as getting your book printed now than it's ever been because of print on demand. It's just a matter of finding where to push it, go into shows and selling it on your table. You walk into any big show and you'll see lots of folks with either trade paperbacks or comics at their table that have been printed that way. They've been printed on demand. It's a lot of them out there. A lot of stuff.
No more Xerox machines in the basement like Eastman and Laird.
Exactly.
So this brings up an interesting point. We did not have our Thomas Floramonte drive-by this evening. We are one of our wonderful, venerable inkers.
So we're talking about Kablam. So which Tommy is a part of.
Yeah. So if you do need your books printed on demand, Kablam is the place to go. So
absolutely, I've been doing with him for a long time.
Yeah, we will throw him a plug.
I agree.
And they make it pretty easy for you to upload your books, and they also take care of you start to end. Well, it looks like we actually managed to do a comics hullabaloo here for an hour.
We bluffed our way through an hour.
Filled an hour with absolute nonsense.
Yeah, but
hopefully there's some tidbits in there for folks. Yeah.
Yeah. So and we had a nice little visit with Mitographia there, or Kenneth Rockefeller. Thank you so much for coming by.
We will have to have them on for a show where we sit down and talk about their career and what they think about comics. And that'd be great.
He was invited by Pops, and he said to Pops that he doesn't like being in shows. Sorry.
Okay.
Which is sad, which is unfortunate, but
I think he'd have a good time with us, though. Think about it.
Anyways, Ken, if you end up listening to the end of the show or whatever, invitations open. Come on by anytime and say hi.
We're not, we're just having fun doing this.
Yep. So, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, Divinity. This is Barb's book, and you got my pinup or my cover? Yes. Did you
Yes.
color it yet? Did Barb?
Oh yes,
Barb.
yes.
Uh-huh.
He,
And
I,
how did it
She had
turn
a
out
couple of
colored?
different versions.
I just did the eyes. I left everything
Oh,
black
you
and white
just did
because
the
I
eyes.
thought it was so.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Awesome.
I thought it
We
was
did the Frank
very
Miller.
unusual. Yep, Frank Miller.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's very
awesome.
Will
It's
this
very
be your
what, sorry?
first-
It'll be my first cover. So
Cool.
I hope I get paid. I hope I get paid royalties till I die. All right. So
Cat-
Silverline produces Cat and Mouse. We produce Cape Town. If you want a Batman replacement, we have Trumps. Trumps, a wonderful sci-fi story which is based on the card game Trumps. And if you know the game, you'll love the comic because it is following the rules of the game, and it is a awesome ride. Very cool book. I believe you can get that at your comic stores, or you can get it through
It's been in previews, so yep.
Mhm.
previews. Kalis, we got Kalis, which is the great dad comic, awesome sci-fi
Another book
tale.
in previews. Yep.
Great book, and then went to a second printing. And we got Wolf Hunter, which I'm working on #2. I really got to get that out the door because I am way behind on that. But book
Champion
2 is on.
Mystery.
And
Yep,
I did, but the book got wrecked. So I am so sorry. I do not have that with me. What else do we got? We got Sniper and Rook by John Medich, who is one of our hosts. Teen Beetle, if you want something for the kids. My boys love this book. It's absolutely right. And Bear, I don't have a copy of it with me right now, but
that's an all ages book. Yep.
Absolutely fantastic book. A Champion in Miss Fury is it was a double-sided book. So if you guys wanted to get 2 stories in one, that was an awesome book to get for the kids. We got Cray, which is kind of like Conan the Barbarian-ish kind of stuff if you're into sword and sorcery. And we got so many other books. Oh, Beyond the Stars.
Yep, for my pal Ron Fortier and his artist friend.
Let's see here.
And I'm
Rejects.
Yeah, Rejects is another
Beyond
one.
the Stars, Rejects.
Twilight Grim.
Scary
Twilight
book.
Grim.
Twilight Grim by Rob Davis.
And R.A.
Ryder
Jones.
Rush.
All kinds of stuff coming down the pike. You bet.
So go visit silverline.com to see what's going on there, or try and look us up on Facebook, or try and check us out on Twitter or Instagram. I'm not sure where BJ has put us, but yeah, we are around. So
yeah, we're on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
We're on Facebook. We're on, I think, Instagram. I think we're on all kinds of stuff. Are we on TikTok? Is anybody on TikTok?
Yes.
I was thinking we had a few TikTok things.
Tommy still owe somebody a dance?
Yes, it was me a dance.
He said he would do it. So yeah, okay. And it's supposed to be on TikTok, right? Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Well, I don't know, Tommy. Tommy, if you ever see this show, we're still holding you to the fire on that one. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is our, we will wrap it up here. Thank you for joining us. If you joined us, we hope you come back next week. Next week, we hopefully have a topic that's going to be a topic. I'm not sure who's on next week, but
we have a special guest.
We have a special guest next week. Are we allowed to say who?
I forgot.
You forgot.
I haven't been paying attention. I have to admit.
Is it the guy who made Boys?
No, that's on July 1st.
Oh, that's on July 1st. Okay. So, but next week we have a special guest, and Barb is going to be running that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's okay. All right. So join us next week for a special guest on Wednesday Wham. So as we always say here, just before we go, make mine Silverline.
Hey, I'm G-Rod. Make mine Silverline. You heard me.